Hi, welcome to Comet Computer Private Limited e-learning program of Azure Public Cloud Training. Myself, Ilan Cherian, Technical Director at Comet Computer Private Limited. So in this video, we'll be discussing about Azure Resource Manager or Azure ARM. So this Azure Resource Manager is actually uh, uh, it's a deployment or automation feature which is offered by Microsoft. So Azure Resource Manager is the deployment and management service for Azure. So it allows us to manage the infrastructure as a code in Azure platform. So it provides a management layer that enables you to create, update, and delete resources in your Azure account. You can use management features like access control, logs, and tags to secure and organize your resources after deployment. And this ARM has many consistent management layers. So we need to understand those layers. So when a user sends a request from any of the tools like API or SDKs, so Azure Resource Manager receives the request. It authenticates it authenticates and authorizes the request. You can see in the diagram. So you can use Azure Portal, or you can use Azure PowerShell, or you can use Azure CLI, or you can use REST clients. So everything is going to be giving the command or instruction to the resource manager, where the resource manager will be taking actions on the resource provider. So these are called as the resource providers, that is the data store, web application, or virtual machine. So action is taken on the resource providers by the resource manager. So resource manager sends the request to the Azure service, which takes the request action. Because all the requests are handled through the same API, you see consistent result and capabilities in all the different tools. And the terminologies which is involved in the uh, Azure ARM is resource, resource group, resource provider, resource manager template, and the declarative syntax. So understanding about the resource is a manageable item that is available through Azure virtual machine, storage account, web application, databases, and virtual machines are some examples of the resources. So resource groups, subscriptions, management groups, and tags are also examples of the resources. And coming to resource group is a container that holds related resources for an Azure solution. So the resource group includes those resources that you want to manage as a group. So you decide which resource belongs in a resource group based on what makes the most sense for your organization, like based on the department or project or application or whatever it is. And the resource provider. So resource provider is a service that supplies Azure resources. For example, a common resource provider is Microsoft Compute, so which provides us the computing resource, that is the virtual machine. And Microsoft Storage is again another resource provider which provides the storage account. And coming to the resource manager template, a resource manager template is a JavaScript open object notation that is called as a JSON file that defines one or more resources to deploy to resource groups, subscription, management groups, or tenants. So the template can be used to deploy the resources consistently and repeatedly. And the declarative syntax is a syntax that lets you to state uh, here is what I intend to create without having to write the sequence of the programming commands to create it. So this resource manager template is an example of declarative syntax. In the file, you define the properties of the infrastructure you deploy to Azure. And the benefits of using a resource manager includes manage your infrastructure through declarative templates rather than script. So if you're not good in scripting, Azure offers the template. So using that template, you can customize the template, that is the declarative template, and you make it used for your infrastructure. So then you can deploy, manage, and monitor all the resources for your solution as a group rather than handling these resources individually. So redeploy your solution through the development lifecycle and have confidence that is your resources are deployed at a consistent state, and define the dependencies between the resources so that they are deployed in the correct order, and apply access control to all services, because role-based access control is natively integrated into the management platform, and apply tags to resources to logically organize all the resources in your subscription. So clarify your organization's billing by viewing cost for a group of resources sharing the same tag, and understanding the scope. So Azure provides a four level of scope. So management groups, subscription, resource groups, and resources. So you apply management settings at any of these levels of the scope. So you can apply the at management group level or subscription level, resource group level, or at the resource level. So the level you select determines how widely the setting is applied. Lower levels inherit settings from the higher levels. For example, when you apply a policy to a subscription, the policy is applied to the resource groups and the resources in your subscription. When you apply a policy on the resource group, that the policy is applied the resource group and all its resources. However, another resource group doesn't have that policy assignment. So you can deploy templates to tenants, management groups, subscription, or resource groups. And the benefits of using resource manager. So with resource manager, you can manage your infrastructure through declarative templates rather than the scripts. I'm sorry, I was just repeating the same. So, and that's the end of the video of ARM. So in the next video, we'll be discussing how to create a ARM template and how to manage the ARM template, and using the ARM template, how to deploy the infrastructure. All this we'll be discussing in the next video. Until then, bye bye.